Marcus Aurelius was not just a Roman emperor. He was a man who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders while facing wars, plagues, betrayals, and the constant reminder that life is fragile. And yet, he did not collapse under the pressure. Instead, he left us his Meditations, a book that was never meant to be published, but became a timeless guide to mental strength. He faced what most of us would call unbearable, and still managed to write words that calm, strengthen, and inspire us today. This raises a question. How can someone living in the chaos of ancient Rome, surrounded by fear and uncertainty, leave us lessons that are more relevant than ever in our fast-paced, anxious modern world? The truth is that Marcus Aurelius discovered secrets about the mind, about discipline, and about resilience that allowed him to hold steady when everything around him was falling apart. These secrets are not hidden in complex philosophy, nor are they unreachable for ordinary people. They are simple, practical and powerful principles that anyone willing to listen and apply can bring into their life. The title of this video is not an exaggeration. These are genuine secrets of mental strength, tested in the most brutal circumstances and proven to work. If they worked for the man who ruled Rome, they can work for you too. In this video, you will discover 10 powerful lessons from Marcus Aurelius that will show you how to cultivate resilience, inner peace, and unshakable strength of mind. Each lesson is not just a theoretical idea, it is a practical tool you can use every single day. Whether you're struggling with stress, anger, fear of failure, or uncertainty about the future, the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius will give you the mental armor you need. And I want you to pay special attention because these lessons build on one another. Some will challenge you to see life differently, some will confront your excuses, and others will open your eyes to the simplicity of peace of mind. And make sure you stay until the end, because the last point, the final secret, is the most powerful of all, the one that Marcus Aurelius himself considered essential above everything else. Missing that would mean leaving without the key that unlocks the entire Stoic mindset. But before we go deeper, let me ask you something. What does strength really mean to you? Is it about muscles, money, influence? Or is it about being able to stay calm when everything is falling apart? Think about it, because Marcus Aurelius believed that true strength has nothing to do with power over others, but everything to do with power over yourself. He believed that mastering your own mind is the highest form of victory, and that is exactly what you are going to learn here. So let's make a deal. As you listen to these lessons, don't just hear them as distant philosophy or nice-sounding words. Hear them as challenges. Each point is an invitation to test yourself, to apply it in your life immediately, and to see the results. Philosophy without action is nothing but empty talk. Marcus Aurelius lived his philosophy every day, in the battlefield, in the palace, in the darkest nights when plague swept through Rome. If he could practice it, so can you. Now, I want to make this interactive. As you listen, I will give you a short phrase. It is not complicated, it is not long, but it will test your commitment. After finishing this introduction, go to the comments and write this phrase. Strength within. That's it. 2 words, but they carry the essence of what Marcus Aurelius believed. When you write it, you are not just repeating words. You are declaring to yourself and to others that you are serious about building resilience from the inside out. This is not just another motivational video. This is a roadmap to a different way of living, a way where external chaos does not determine your inner peace. A way where setbacks are not the end, but the training ground for your character. A way where you are no longer controlled by fear, anger, or doubt, but instead rise above them with calm determination. Think about it for a moment. How often do you feel overwhelmed by things that are outside your control? The news, other people's opinions, unexpected problems at work, financial struggles, health scares. Life never stops throwing obstacles at us. But here's the hard truth. You cannot control most of it. And yet, most of our suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That one sentence contains a lifetime of wisdom. If you take it seriously, it can change everything. But this video will not stop at one sentence. We are going to dive into the 10 essential mental strength secrets Marcus Aurelius left us. We will break them down, explore how they apply in your daily life, and challenge you to live them. And I promise, if you stay with me, you will leave not just inspired, but equipped with tools you can use immediately to transform the way you face life. This is not about becoming cold or emotionless. Stoicism is often misunderstood as suppressing feelings, but that's not true. Stoicism is about mastering feelings so that they do not master you. It is about feeling everything, pain, joy, sadness, love, but not becoming enslaved by any of it. It is about being fully alive, fully human, yet fully unshaken. That is the kind of strength Marcus Aurelius embodied, and that is the kind of strength you can learn. So prepare yourself, open your mind, listen carefully. The next moments might just be the turning point where you stop letting life push you around and start living with the calm, steady force of a Stoic. And remember, the last lesson will be the most powerful one. Stay until the end, or you will miss the core secret Marcus Aurelius wanted us all to understand. Go now, type "strength within" in the comments, and let's begin. Lesson 10. The final secret of mental strength, acceptance of fate, amor fati. When we arrive at the deepest core of Marcus Aurelius' philosophy, we reach a principle that is both confronting and liberating. It is the final secret, the ultimate lesson of mental strength, acceptance of fate, or as the Stoics called it, amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is not just about tolerating what happens, not just about enduring life's difficulties, but about embracing them, even loving them as part of the natural order of the universe. For Marcus Aurelius, this was not an abstract belief, but a daily practice. Every morning he reminded himself that the day would bring obstacles, difficult people, and unexpected turns. Every evening he reflected on how little control he truly had over external events. Yet instead of resenting this, he found strength in it. He realized that resistance to fate only multiplies suffering, while acceptance transforms the inevitable into a source of resilience. To understand the depth of this lesson, we need to remember the world Marcus Aurelius lived in. He was emperor of Rome during times when plagues devastated cities, when wars threatened the empire's borders, when betrayals and conspiracies were constant shadows in the palace. He lost children to illness, friends to treachery, and soldiers to battle. His reign was not a reign of ease, but of continual trial. And yet, in the pages of Meditations, we do not find a broken man, but a man who has learned to align his will with reality. He wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny for what could more aptly fit your needs." This sentence is the embodiment of amor fati. It is the idea that whatever happens is not just unavoidable, but in some mysterious way necessary. Acceptance does not mean passivity. Marcus did not retreat from life, nor did he let fate excuse inaction. On the contrary, he worked tirelessly as emperor, fought in battles, reformed laws, and tried to be a just leader. But he did all this with the understanding that the outcome was never fully in his control. He could act with wisdom, justice, courage, and discipline, the four Stoic virtues, but he could not dictate the results. This balance is the heart of Stoic strength. Take responsibility for your actions, but release attachment to outcomes. That is why acceptance is not weakness, it is power. When you accept fate, you cannot be broken by disappointment because you never expected the world to serve your desires. You only expected yourself to live according to reason and virtue. Think for a moment about how much of our anxiety comes from wishing life were different. We wish people would treat us better. We wish our past mistakes had never happened. We wish circumstances were easier. We wish the future would align perfectly with our plans. And yet, none of those wishes change reality. The more we fight against what already is, the more we suffer. Marcus Aurelius knew this intimately. He wrote, "Do not wish for things to happen as you want them to. Wish instead that they happen as they do, and your life will go well." Imagine the freedom in that mindset. Imagine not being disturbed when plans change, not being shaken when obstacles appear, not being crushed when losses arrive. Because instead of seeing them as unfair intrusions, you see them as natural elements of life's design. Amor fati is the antidote to resentment. Many people live with hidden bitterness, a quiet anger toward life itself. They feel cheated, unlucky, singled out by fate. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that nothing happens to you personally. Everything happens according to the same laws that govern all things. The rain does not fall on you alone. The storm does not choose your house intentionally. The illness is not a punishment designed specifically for you. Life is not against you. Life simply unfolds. Your choice is whether to fight it endlessly or to align with it. And aligning with it does not mean you stop trying to improve your situation. It means you stop wasting energy on rage against what already is. This lesson is not easy because it requires humility. It forces us to admit that we are not the masters of the universe, not even the masters of our own future. We are participants in a vast unfolding of events, most of which lie outside our control. To the ego, this feels like defeat, but to the Stoic, it is liberation. Because once you accept this truth, you no longer waste your strength on illusions. You reclaim all that wasted energy and redirect it toward what is truly in your power. Your thoughts, your actions, your choices in this very moment. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly. That is why his writings are full of reminders to focus on the present, to act with virtue now, to leave the rest to the flow of the cosmos. There is also a hidden beauty in amor fati. It transforms suffering into meaning. If you accept that every challenge is part of the necessary path, then even pain becomes purposeful. The loss that tears you apart today becomes the teacher that strengthens you tomorrow. The failure that humiliates you today becomes the foundation of your wisdom tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius did not just endure misfortune, he used it. Each blow became material for his growth. He understood that the universe is not obligated to arrange itself according to our preferences. But if we embrace what happens, we can transform everything, good or bad, into fuel for the fire of character. This lesson, above all others, requires practice. It is not enough to say, "I accept fate." The real test comes in moments of crisis. When the relationship ends, when the job is lost, when the diagnosis arrives, when betrayal stabs unexpectedly. In those moments, the natural reaction is resistance, anger, despair. To practice amor fati is to pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this too is part of life's pattern. This too is an opportunity to grow. At first, this feels almost impossible, but over time, it becomes a habit of the soul. The storms still come, but instead of breaking you, they deepen your roots. Let us not misunderstand Marcus Aurelius here. He was not suggesting blind fatalism or passive surrender. He did not say, "Do nothing." On the contrary, he acted with intensity. But he understood that his control extended only so far. He played his part fully, like an actor on stage, but he did not demand to write the entire script. His wisdom was to say, "I will play my role with excellence, and I will accept whatever role the director assigns me." This metaphor is key. Life is the play, we are the actors, but the script is not ours to control. When you truly accept this, bitterness disappears. You become light, steady, unshaken, because you are no longer fighting the role you were given. So what does this mean for you today? It means learning to release your grip on the uncontrollable. It means practicing gratitude not only for what you wanted, but also for what you did not want. It means replacing the question, why me, with the statement, why not me? Because everything that happens has happened to countless others before, and will happen to countless others after. You are not singled out. You are part of the human condition. And if Marcus Aurelius could endure the weight of an empire with this mindset, you can endure your struggles too. The final secret of mental strength is not about becoming invincible by avoiding pain. It is about becoming unbreakable by embracing it. It is about walking through life with the quiet confidence that whatever comes, you will face it with dignity. That is why amor fati is the crown of Stoicism, the principle that gathers all the other lessons into one. Discipline, self-control, courage, and wisdom all prepare the ground, but acceptance of fate is the flower that blooms. Without it, the other virtues are fragile. With it, they become unshakable. If you take nothing else from Marcus Aurelius, take this: do not resist life. Flow with it. Love it, even when it is hard, even when it hurts. Because the moment you stop demanding that life bend to your will, you discover a new kind of freedom, the freedom to live in harmony with reality. That is the secret of mental strength. That is the secret Marcus Aurelius practiced until his final breath. Lesson 9. Control your reaction, not the world. If Lesson 10 was about embracing fate and aligning your life with the natural flow of events, Lesson 9 brings us closer to the ground of daily experience. It is about the one domain that Marcus Aurelius never grew tired of reminding himself of: control of the mind. The Stoics insisted that we cannot control the external world, but we always have the power to control our judgment and our reaction. Marcus Aurelius phrased it in a way that remains unforgettable. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is not just a comforting idea. It is a revolutionary shift in perspective that redefines how we face every difficulty. Think for a moment about how much of your suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from the way you interpret them. You lose a job. At first, it is a fact. You no longer work in that company, but what follows is not fact. It is interpretation. One person may see it as a disaster, a sign of failure, an ending of security. Another may see it as a challenge, a redirection, perhaps even a hidden opportunity. The external fact is the same. The difference is the judgment applied to it. This is why Marcus Aurelius insisted that our true battlefield is not the world outside, but the mind inside, because reality will always present challenges. But it is our interpretation that determines whether we are crushed by them or strengthened by them. The world is uncontrollable. People will behave in ways you do not approve of. Circumstances will unfold in ways you could never predict. Plans will collapse. Dreams will shift. You cannot bend life into the shape of your desires. And yet, despite this, you can always decide how you will respond. That small space between stimulus and response is where your freedom lives. If you react blindly with anger, despair, or panic, you are enslaved by circumstances. But if you pause, reflect, and choose a response aligned with reason and virtue, you are free, even in chains. Marcus Aurelius had to live this truth daily. As emperor, he was surrounded by flatterers, liars, and enemies. He had to make decisions in the fog of war, where nothing was certain. He had to endure pain, loss, and betrayal. And yet, instead of raging at the universe, he turned inward and asked, "What is in my power right now? My judgment, my decision, my choice of attitude?" That was his weapon, sharper than any sword, stronger than any army. It was the weapon of self-mastery. Let us be clear. Controlling your reaction does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending not to feel. Marcus Aurelius felt deeply. He grieved the loss of his children. He struggled with fatigue, loneliness, and frustration. But the Stoic practice taught him that emotions are natural impressions. They arrive uninvited, but they do not have to dictate your actions. You may feel anger rising in your chest, but you do not have to speak cruel words. You may feel fear in your stomach, but you do not have to flee. You may feel sorrow in your heart, but you do not have to collapse into despair. You can pause, breathe, and ask, what response aligns with reason? What choice reflects virtue? That pause is where freedom lives. Consider how different life becomes when you internalize this lesson. Imagine being cut off in traffic. The instinctive reaction is anger, resentment, the need to retaliate. But pause. Ask yourself, what is within my control? Not the other driver's behavior, not the traffic, not the moment already gone. Only my response. And suddenly, the anger loses its grip. You continue calmly, unaffected, or imagine someone insults you. The natural reaction is to feel offended, to defend yourself, to retaliate with your own harsh words. But Marcus Aurelius would remind you, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. The insult cannot touch you unless you give it power by agreeing with it. Why surrender your peace to the ignorance of another? You remain silent, steady, free. This principle is not easy. It requires discipline. The mind is wild, reactive, full of impulses. But Marcus Aurelius did not teach this lesson as an abstract ideal. He wrote his meditations precisely because he struggled. His notes are reminders to himself, not lectures to others. He wrote, "Do not be carried away by appearances." He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." He wrote, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Each line was a shield against the chaos of his own emotions, forged in the fire of practice. If the Emperor of Rome, with all his responsibilities and pressures, had to remind himself daily of this truth, then we too must practice it constantly. The power of controlling your reaction lies in its universality. It applies in every situation. You cannot always control whether you succeed, but you can control how you face failure. You cannot control whether others treat you kindly, but you can control whether you lose your temper. You cannot control whether illness comes, but you can control whether you surrender your spirit to despair. This is why the Stoics believed that true freedom is internal, not external. A person in chains who controls their mind is freer than a king enslaved by anger, greed, or fear. Imagine how liberating this perspective can be in your daily struggles. When someone betrays you, you can still choose integrity. When plans collapse, you can still choose patience. When you are exhausted, you can still choose courage. Every reaction is an opportunity to practice virtue. Life becomes less about controlling the uncontrollable and more about mastering the controllable. This shift turns obstacles into opportunities, frustrations into lessons, and even suffering into strength. Marcus Aurelius lived this during the Antonine Plague, a devastating epidemic that killed millions, including members of his own family. He could not control the disease. He could not control the suffering of his people, but he could control how he faced it. He did not sink into despair. He did not run from responsibility. He continued to serve, to govern, to endure, reminding himself that what truly matters is not what happens, but how we respond. That is why his words still resonate centuries later. They were not written from comfort, but from struggle. They are battle-tested truths. To live this lesson yourself, begin by practicing awareness. Notice the moment between stimulus and reaction. When something happens, pause before your automatic response takes over. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, release it. If the answer is yes, act with reason, not impulse. Over time, this habit becomes second nature. You find yourself less shaken by life's storms, less at the mercy of moods, less enslaved by anger or fear. You become steady, calm, unshakable. The world will not change for you. People will continue to disappoint you. Circumstances will continue to shift unpredictably. But with this lesson, you realize the most important truth. You do not need the world to change in order to be at peace. Peace is already available to you right now in the mastery of your own response. That is the secret Marcus Aurelius lived by, and that is the secret you can live by too. Lesson 8. The shortness of life and the value of time. Among all the reminders Marcus Aurelius left us, few are as sobering and powerful as his reflections on time. Again and again in his private notes, he confronted the reality that life is brief, fragile, and constantly slipping away. To Marcus, the recognition of mortality was not morbid, it was liberating. It was the key to living with urgency, focus, and clarity. If Lesson 9 taught us to master our reactions, Lesson 8 teaches us to master our relationship with time itself. Because without understanding the shortness of life, even the strongest mind can drift aimlessly. Marcus Aurelius was not writing as a philosopher in a quiet garden, detached from the real world. He was writing as an emperor who had seen death everywhere, on the battlefield, in the palace, in his own family. He lost many of his children to illness, a pain that no parent forgets. He ruled during the Antonine Plague, a disease that wiped out millions and reminded every Roman that tomorrow was not guaranteed. Against this background, Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." These words strike at the heart of the human condition. Life is short, unpredictable, and precious. To live as if it will last forever is to waste the only resource we can never recover, time. Consider how often we live as though life is endless. We postpone our goals, delay our dreams, hold back our words of love or forgiveness. We say, "One day I'll change, one day I'll pursue my passion, one day I'll be happy." But one day is not promised. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the present moment is all we truly own. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is uncertain, and only now is real. To waste the present in distraction, resentment, or idleness is to squander the only treasure that matters. The Stoic practice is not about waiting for the future. It is about living fully now, because now is life. This awareness of mortality was not meant to depress, but to awaken. When you know time is short, you stop wasting it on trivialities. How much of your life is consumed by gossip, by meaningless arguments, by chasing approval, by worrying about what others think? Marcus Aurelius warned against these traps. He wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. For you are losing the opportunity of doing something else when you do such things." He understood that every distraction steals from the precious hours we could be using to grow, to serve, to create, to live with virtue. The shortness of life also strips away illusions of permanence. We cling to possessions, status, or power as if they will last forever. But Marcus knew that time erodes everything. The empires of yesterday lie in ruins. The names once shouted in triumph are now forgotten echoes. He reminded himself that even the greatest conquerors and kings eventually turned to dust. This reflection was not meant to diminish achievement, but to put it in perspective. If all fades, then what matters is not how long it lasts, but how you live while you have it. Character, virtue, and integrity are not measured in years, but in choices. There is a quiet strength that comes from remembering mortality. Fear loses its power. If you know you will die, fear of failure becomes smaller. Fear of embarrassment, rejection, or criticism begins to dissolve. Marcus Aurelius faced death constantly, and yet he carried himself with calm dignity because he knew that clinging to life desperately only multiplies suffering. He wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." The true tragedy is not dying. It is reaching the end having never truly lived, having wasted the gift of time on things that do not matter. To apply this lesson is to look at your life with brutal honesty. How much time do you spend scrolling endlessly, chasing approval, indulging in complaints, or replaying past mistakes? How often do you delay the things that matter most? Telling someone you love them, working on your deepest passion, acting with courage in the face of fear, because you assume there will always be more time. Marcus Aurelius challenges us to face the truth. There may not be more time. The moment to act is now. The moment to live is now. The moment to embody virtue is now. But there is also another dimension to Marcus's reflections on time. He did not only remind himself of life's brevity, he also reminded himself that time is the one thing we share equally. Wealth, status, and power are unevenly distributed, but time comes to all in the same way, day by day, hour by hour. How we use it is what separates the wise from the foolish. Some squander their days in distraction and resentment, while others use them as building blocks of meaning. For Marcus, each day was a chance to live in alignment with nature, to practice virtue, to grow as a human being. He did not ask for more time. He asked to use the time he had well. This is where the Stoic perspective diverges from ordinary thinking. Many people hope for a long life filled with ease. Marcus Aurelius did not pray for length of days. He prayed for clarity of mind and strength of character, no matter how many days he had. He wrote, "It is not the man who has lived long that has lived enough, but the man who has lived well." To live well means to live with purpose, with virtue, with presence. 1 year lived with full attention and courage is worth more than decades lived in distraction and cowardice. Imagine how your life would change if you treated every day as if it were your last. Not in a reckless way, not in indulgence, but in seriousness. If today were your final day, would you waste it in anger? Would you hold back your forgiveness? Would you delay pursuing what you know you must do? Probably not. You would live with honesty, with courage, with love. That is the Stoic practice, not to wait for death to wake us, but to live every day awake. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. His reminders to himself were not about despair, but about urgency. Urgency to live fully because nothing else is promised. The awareness of mortality also teaches us gratitude. Every moment becomes a gift, not a guarantee. The morning sun, the sound of a friend's voice, the chance to do meaningful work, all of these become treasures when you remember they could vanish tomorrow. Gratitude is the natural companion of mortality. Marcus Aurelius, though burdened by the weight of an empire, still wrote with wonder about the beauty of nature, the simplicity of life, the miracle of existence itself. To him, the shortness of life was not a curse, but a reminder to appreciate what is fleeting, because its fragility makes it precious. In the end, Lesson 8 reminds us that the greatest wealth is not found in possessions, but in time well spent. The richest life is not the longest, but the most intentional. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth, recording his reflections not to impress others, but to keep himself awake, focused, alive to the brevity of existence. And his challenge to us is clear. Do not wait. Do not postpone. Do not waste what is irreplaceable. Live now, live with virtue, live with purpose. That is how to honor the shortness of life, and that is how to find true strength in the passing of time. Lesson 7. Mastering anger and maintaining calm. Of all the storms that rise within the human heart, anger is perhaps the most destructive. It blinds judgment, poisons relationships, consumes energy, and leaves regret in its wake. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. As Emperor of Rome, he faced constant provocations, political opponents who plotted against him, generals who disobeyed him, citizens who criticized him, and even family members who betrayed him. In such an environment, anger would have been easy, even justified by the standards of power. But Marcus Aurelius understood something deeper. Anger is not strength, it is weakness disguised as power. To lose control of yourself in fury is to be enslaved by passion. To remain calm when provoked is to be truly strong. Lesson 7, therefore, is about mastering anger and learning to maintain calm in the face of provocation. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it." This insight is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Think about the last time you became angry. Perhaps someone insulted you or disappointed you or treated you unfairly. The cause of your anger was temporary, maybe even trivial. But the consequences, the harsh words you spoke, the rash decisions you made, the bitterness that lingered, those consequences lasted far longer than the original offense. Anger multiplies suffering. It is like a fire that starts small but quickly spreads, destroying more than the spark that ignited it. Marcus Aurelius, like the other Stoics, believed that anger is never useful, never noble, never a sign of true strength. Why is anger so dangerous? Because it convinces us that we are acting with power when in fact we are being controlled. Anger shouts, "I am in charge," but in reality, it is anger itself that is in charge. The Stoic path is about freedom, and there is no freedom when we are ruled by rage. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly to remain calm, even when those around him failed in virtue. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." Notice the wisdom here. Instead of being shocked or offended when people behaved badly, Marcus expected it. He saw their flaws as part of human nature, not as personal attacks. And by expecting it, he disarmed the anger before it began. To master anger, the first step is to adjust expectations. Many of us live as if we expect others to be perfect, reasonable, and fair at all times. And when they are not, we explode with disappointment. Marcus Aurelius, however, practiced the opposite. He reminded himself daily that people would be selfish, rude, or ignorant, and that this was to be expected from beings who are fallible. By lowering his expectations of others, he raised his control over himself. He chose not to be surprised by human flaws, and therefore not to be provoked by them. The second step is to recognize the insignificance of most provocations. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of the vastness of time and the smallness of human affairs. When viewed against the backdrop of eternity, most of the things that make us angry are laughably trivial. The insult, the inconvenience, the betrayal, all of these will be forgotten soon enough. Why surrender your peace to what will not matter in a year, a month, or even a day? To Marcus, anger was a waste of the precious time he spoke about in Lesson 8. Life is too short to spend in rage. Calm is not only wiser, it is also a way of honoring the brevity of existence. The third step is to remember that anger is contagious. Marcus Aurelius observed that when you respond to anger with anger, you become like the very person who offended you. You lower yourself to their level and mirror their lack of control. But when you respond with calm, you rise above them and preserve your dignity. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This is not about passivity or weakness. Marcus Aurelius was not passive. He commanded armies, enforced laws, and punished injustice when necessary. But he did so without rage. His decisions were guided by reason, not by passion. To him, calm action was far stronger than impulsive retaliation. Now consider how this applies to your life. In modern society, anger is everywhere. Online arguments, political divisions, workplace conflicts, road rage. The world is full of people enslaved by fury. The Stoic way offers a radical alternative: to remain calm in the face of insult, steady in the face of betrayal, composed in the face of provocation. Imagine the freedom this brings. While others waste energy in resentment, you conserve your strength. While others burn bridges in rage, you build stability. While others allow their peace to be stolen, you remain untouched. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of strength. Marcus Aurelius, despite all his responsibilities and frustrations, practiced this daily. His writings reveal his struggle against irritation, against the temptation to explode. But instead of surrendering, he trained his mind like a soldier. Every time he felt anger rising, he reminded himself, the offender is acting from ignorance. Every time he felt provoked, he asked, will this matter tomorrow? Every time he felt the sting of insult, he told himself, I will not lower myself to their level. These small practices built into a lifelong discipline of calmness, and that calmness was not passive. It was the calmness of a leader, the calmness of a man who could carry the weight of Rome without crumbling under passion. The beauty of Stoicism is that it does not deny the difficulty of this practice. Marcus Aurelius never pretended that anger would vanish completely. He knew the impulses would always arise. The point was not to eliminate emotion, but to master it, to feel anger rising and yet choose not to act on it, to feel the heat of rage but let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. This is mastery, not the absence of passion, but the presence of reason guiding action. To live this lesson yourself, begin with small moments. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, pause and ask, is this worth my peace? The next time someone insults you, pause and ask, does this define me or does it define them? The next time frustration boils at work, pause and ask, will anger help or will calmness guide me better? Over time, these small choices become a habit. Anger loses its grip. Calm becomes natural, and you discover the freedom Marcus Aurelius spoke of, the freedom of a mind unshaken by provocation. Lesson 7 is not about suppressing your humanity. It is about elevating it. Anger is common, but calmness is rare. To master anger is to rise above the ordinary and embody true strength. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. An emperor ruled by rage would destroy an empire. A human ruled by rage will destroy themselves. But a human who masters anger will rule their own soul, and that is the highest victory. Lesson 6. Discipline over desire, the power of self-control. If anger is the fire that consumes us from within, desire is the chain that binds us from without. Lesson 6 is about self-control, about disciplining our impulses and mastering our cravings. Marcus Aurelius knew that the greatest threats to our freedom are not always external enemies, but the internal temptations that seduce us into excess, weakness, and distraction. As Emperor of Rome, he had access to unimaginable luxury, wealth, and pleasure. He could have surrendered to indulgence at any moment, as many rulers before him had done. But Marcus Aurelius chose a different path, the path of restraint, of moderation, of living according to reason rather than appetite. To him, self-control was not denial, it was power. The Stoics taught that desire enslaves. When you crave pleasure, wealth, or recognition, you hand over your freedom to forces outside yourself. you become dependent on things you cannot fully control. And the moment your happiness depends on what lies outside your control, you are at the mercy of fortune. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly. He wrote, "The man who has set his heart on philosophy is not concerned with wealth or pleasure or fame, but with truth." His focus was on the cultivation of the mind and the practice of virtue, not on chasing fleeting pleasures. He knew that indulgence never satisfies for long, pleasure fades, luxury becomes routine, and craving only grows. But discipline, though difficult in the moment, builds a strength that lasts. Self-control for Marcus Aurelius was not about rejecting pleasure entirely. He was not an ascetic who fled from the world. Rather, he practiced moderation, using what life offered without becoming attached to it. He ate simple meals even though he could feast. He lived with restraint even though he could indulge. He treated luxury as something indifferent, neither good nor evil, but dangerous if it captured the soul. In his writings, he reminded himself, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others, when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility." Hidden in these words is a warning against distraction, against wasting energy on pursuits that do not strengthen character. Desire for gossip, for pleasure, for recognition, all of it drains the time and attention needed for virtue. The lesson of self-control becomes even more relevant in our modern world. Today, we are surrounded by temptations Marcus Aurelius could never have imagined. Endless entertainment at the touch of a screen, food available in excess, social media designed to trigger craving for validation, consumer goods marketed as the path to happiness. Our age is an empire of desire, and yet the principle remains the same. Indulgence enslaves, while discipline frees. How many people today are exhausted not by hardship, but by their own excesses, overeating, overspending, overindulging in distraction? Marcus Aurelius would see this as the chains of desire binding the modern mind. To practice self-control is to reclaim freedom. When you say no to an unnecessary indulgence, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your cravings. When you discipline your habits, you discover the power to direct your life instead of being dragged by impulses. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that pleasure is fleeting, but self-mastery is lasting. To him, the joy of a calm and disciplined mind was far greater than the fleeting satisfaction of indulgence. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and thoughts are shaped not by indulgence, but by discipline." There is also a deeper philosophical dimension to self-control in Stoicism. The Stoics believed that virtue is the only true good. External things, wealth, pleasure, reputation, are indifferent. They can be used well or badly, but they do not determine your moral worth. What matters is how you use them. Self-control ensures that you use what comes without being used by it. You can enjoy a meal, but you are not enslaved by appetite. You can spend money, but you are not consumed by greed. You can enjoy praise, but you are not dependent on approval. Self-control is the art of using the world without losing yourself to it. Marcus Aurelius also understood that lack of self-control leads to weakness of character. A person who cannot resist temptation is not truly free. They are ruled by whatever craving shouts the loudest. Today it might be food, tomorrow it might be wealth, the next day it might be comfort or distraction. Such a life is unstable, tossed about by every impulse. But a disciplined person is steady. They are guided not by appetite, but by reason, not by impulse, but by principle. This steadiness is what Marcus valued most. As emperor, he could not afford to be swayed by desire. His role required judgment, restraint, clarity. His personal discipline was not only for himself, but for the empire he carried. Think about how this applies in your own life. Where are you enslaved by desire? Perhaps it is in the small indulgences that waste your time. hours lost in distraction, days consumed by procrastination. Perhaps it is in the pursuit of recognition, spending energy on appearances, seeking validation from others. Perhaps it is in material craving, chasing possessions that never satisfy. Marcus Aurelius would challenge you to see these patterns not as harmless habits but as chains. Each time you surrender to them, you weaken your freedom. Each time you resist, you strengthen your soul. Self-control also brings peace. When you are not ruled by cravings, you are not constantly restless. You are not forever chasing the next pleasure or fearing the loss of what you have. Discipline simplifies life. It strips away the noise of excess and reveals what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius found serenity not in luxury, but in restraint, not in abundance, but in simplicity. He could dine with emperors or with soldiers, live in palaces or in camps, because his peace did not depend on circumstance. It depended on his mastery of himself. This does not mean self-control is easy. Desire whispers constantly, promising satisfaction. Discipline feels hard in the moment, but Marcus Aurelius would remind us, short pain, long freedom. The sacrifice of indulgence is temporary. The strength of self-mastery is permanent. Each act of discipline is a brick in the fortress of your mind, and over time, that fortress becomes unshakable. To live this lesson, start by observing your impulses. Notice when you reach for comfort automatically, when you indulge without thought, when you chase validation unconsciously. Pause. Ask yourself, does this serve me or enslave me? Choose restraint, not out of denial, but out of power. Each choice strengthens the habit of discipline. Over time, you discover a new joy, not the shallow joy of indulgence, but the deep joy of freedom. Marcus Aurelius mastered his empire by mastering himself. His true power was not in legions or laws, but in the discipline of his mind. He proved that the highest victory is not over others, but over your own impulses. Lesson 6, therefore, is not just advice. It is the foundation of Stoic strength. Discipline is the shield that protects your peace, the sword that cuts through distraction, the key that unlocks freedom. And in the words of Marcus himself, the disciplined mind is unconquerable. Lesson 5, the courage to face pain and adversity. Pain is the great equalizer. No matter who we are, no matter our wealth, status, or power, pain visits us all. It may come as physical suffering, as heartbreak, as loss, or as disappointment. Marcus Aurelius understood this truth more than most. As Emperor of Rome, he bore the unimaginable pressures of leading an empire through war, famine, and plague. He endured betrayals from those closest to him, the deaths of his children, the weight of endless responsibility. And yet, through it all, he wrote with clarity, with calm, with an almost unshakable serenity. Lesson 5 is about this courage, the courage to face pain and adversity with dignity, to accept suffering not as an enemy, but as a companion on the journey of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." This statement reveals a radical Stoic truth. Much of our suffering is not in the pain itself, but in the story we attach to it. Pain is a physical or emotional sensation, but suffering, the despair, the hopelessness, the belief that life is cruel or unfair, that is a judgment, a mental layer we add on top. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to separate the raw fact of pain from the interpretation. A headache is pain. The thought, "This is unbearable, I cannot live like this," is suffering. The betrayal of a friend is pain. The thought, "I am worthless, I will never trust again," is suffering. By mastering his judgments, Marcus Aurelius reduced his suffering, even while enduring the same pains every human faces. This does not mean Marcus denied the reality of pain. He did not claim it was easy. He felt grief, he felt loss, He felt the weight of fatigue, but he refused to let these feelings dominate his soul. Instead, he reframed them as opportunities for courage. Every pain, he believed, was a chance to practice endurance. Every hardship was a chance to test the strength of character. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This was not just philosophy, it was a survival strategy. By transforming obstacles into training, Marcus Aurelius found meaning in suffering. Pain was no longer an enemy to be feared, but a teacher to be welcomed. Consider how different our own lives would be if we applied this perspective. Most of us spend our time avoiding pain at all costs. We seek comfort, ease, distraction. When pain inevitably comes, we resist it, resent it, and collapse under its weight. But Marcus Aurelius shows us another way: to expect pain as part of life, to accept it calmly, to use it as fuel. This does not mean we should seek suffering unnecessarily, but that when it arrives, as it always does, we embrace it as an essential part of growth. The gym of the mind, Marcus would say, is built from the weights of adversity. Without resistance, there is no strength. Marcus Aurelius also practiced reminding himself of the universality of pain. Whatever he endured, countless others had endured before him, and countless more would endure after. He was not singled out by fate, he was simply human. This reflection dissolved self-pity. He wrote, "Whatever happens to you has happened to others, is happening to others, and will happen again." By placing his suffering within the vast cycle of human experience, he removed its sting of uniqueness. Pain was no longer a personal curse, but part of the shared condition of humanity. And if others had endured, he could endure too. Courage, in Stoicism, is not the absence of fear or pain. It is the decision to act rightly in spite of them. Marcus Aurelius displayed this courage repeatedly. He continued to lead during plague, even though he knew the risk to his own life. He continued to make decisions for the empire while grieving personal losses. He continued to write, to reflect, to strive for virtue while surrounded by chaos. His courage was not flashy, not the dramatic heroism of a soldier charging into battle, but the quiet heroism of a man who does not give up, who does not collapse, who continues his duty in silence. This, perhaps, is the highest form of courage, the courage to keep going when life feels unbearable. How can we cultivate this in our own lives? By reorienting our view of adversity. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we ask, "Why not me?" Instead of seeing hardship as a punishment, we see it as training. Every pain is an invitation to grow in patience, in strength, in endurance. When you suffer, you stand at a crossroads. You can collapse into bitterness, or you can rise with courage. Marcus Aurelius chose to rise, and his writings invite us to do the same. Pain also reveals what we truly value. When life is easy, it is easy to talk about virtue. But when pain comes, the truth is tested. Do we still act with kindness when we are hurting? Do we still pursue justice when we are weary? Do we still live with integrity when the cost is high? Pain strips away illusions and forces us to confront our core. For Marcus Aurelius, this confrontation was sacred. It showed him whether his philosophy was just words or real strength. By practicing courage in pain, he proved his philosophy was not decoration, but armor. There is also a hidden peace in facing pain with courage. When you accept that suffering is inevitable, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, its power over you diminishes. Marcus Aurelius did not run from pain. He walked into it with open eyes, knowing it was part of the pattern of life. This acceptance dissolved much of the anxiety that comes from trying to avoid discomfort. He wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Pain was simply another event in the flow of life. His choice was whether to respond with despair or with courage. He chose courage. Today, many of us live cushioned from the kind of hardships Marcus Aurelius endured. And yet, even in our modern comfort, pain still arrives. Illness, loss, disappointment, failure. We are not exempt. The lesson of Marcus Aurelius is that we can meet these trials with calm strength instead of panic. We can treat them as teachers, as opportunities to prove our character. Pain does not have to destroy us, it can refine us. Imagine carrying this mindset into your own struggles. The next time pain strikes, remind yourself, this is my training, this is my chance to practice courage. The moment you shift from resistance to acceptance, the pain becomes lighter. It may not vanish, but it transforms. It becomes a test, and every test passed builds resilience. This is how Marcus Aurelius endured the unbearable. This is how you can endure too. Lesson 5 then is about courage. The courage to face pain without despair, the courage to meet adversity without collapse, the courage to continue walking the path of virtue even when the road is hard. Marcus Aurelius proved that courage is not loud, not dramatic, but steady. It is the refusal to surrender to suffering. It is the quiet decision to endure with dignity. And when you live this lesson, you discover that pain, far from being your enemy, can become your greatest ally in building strength. Lesson 4. Focus on duty, not reward. One of the deepest lessons Marcus Aurelius teaches us is that the meaning of life is not found in chasing rewards, praise, or recognition, but in fulfilling our duty. This is lesson 4. To focus on what must be done, not on what you will gain from doing it. For Marcus, duty was sacred. As Emperor of Rome, he bore a responsibility larger than any individual could imagine. His decisions affected millions of lives, the stability of the empire, and the survival of its people. And yet, in his private writings, he often reminded himself that his role was not about glory, but about service. He wrote, "Do what is right, the rest doesn't matter." That sentence contains the essence of duty. The commitment to act with justice, wisdom, courage, and discipline, regardless of the outcome or recognition. In our world today, this lesson is revolutionary. Most people are driven by rewards. They ask, "What will I get from this?" before they act. They measure their worth in money, status, or applause. But Marcus Aurelius turned this logic upside down. He believed that the highest form of strength is to act rightly even when no one is watching, to fulfill one's duty even when no praise will follow, to do good for its own sake, not for reward. Duty is not about external validation, it is about inner alignment with virtue. To Marcus, every person has a role in the larger order of nature. The universe is like a vast body, and each individual is like a cell within it. Just as the hand does not act for itself, but for the health of the body, so too must a human being act not only for themselves, but for the community. He wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." Duty, then, is about serving the whole, contributing to the greater good, fulfilling your role without demanding applause. This perspective strips away selfishness and teaches humility. The challenge, of course, is that duty often feels heavy when there is no immediate reward. Why persist in doing the right thing if no one notices? Why work diligently if others take credit? Why act with integrity if it costs you opportunities? Marcus Aurelius would answer, because duty itself is the reward. The act of living in alignment with virtue is fulfillment. He reminded himself that praise and blame are fleeting, the opinions of others unreliable, but one's own conscience endures. To betray duty for the sake of reward is to lose the only treasure that matters, your integrity. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth. He could have abandoned his responsibilities during the Antonine Plague, retreating into safety while millions suffered. Instead, he stayed, continued to lead, continued to serve, continued to carry the burden. He did not seek applause. In fact, his writings suggest he cared little about how history would judge him. He focused only on doing what was right in the moment. His duty was to govern, to protect, to preserve justice. That was enough. His sense of purpose did not depend on the shifting opinions of the people or the Senate. It depended only on his own commitment to virtue. This lesson confronts us with a difficult question. How often do we act not from duty, but from desire for reward? Do we work hard because it is right, or because we crave recognition? Do we help others because they need us, or because we want their gratitude? Do we pursue goals because they align with virtue, or because they will bring applause? Marcus Aurelius challenges us to strip away these illusions and return to the essence of action: duty for its own sake. There is a deep strength in this mindset. When you detach from reward, you become unshakable. If you are praised, you remain steady. If you are criticized, you remain steady. Neither changes your commitment to what is right. This frees you from the slavery of opinion. You no longer chase approval like a beggar waiting for scraps. Instead, you act with quiet dignity, knowing that the worth of your action lies in the action itself, not in what others think of it. Marcus Aurelius embodied this dignity. His writings are full of reminders to himself not to be distracted by praise or insult, not to act for show, but to act from principle. Focusing on duty also simplifies life. When you stop chasing rewards, your path becomes clear. There is no need to calculate endlessly, no need to manipulate appearances, no need to waste energy on what cannot be controlled. Your only question becomes, what is my duty here? What does virtue demand of me in this moment? And once you answer, you act. This clarity is a form of freedom. It liberates you from the exhausting game of comparison and competition. But duty is not only about great responsibilities like those Marcus carried. It applies in small, daily acts as well. To treat a colleague with fairness, even when no one notices, is duty. To care for your family without demanding recognition is duty. To choose honesty when a lie would be easier is duty. These small acts, repeated daily, build a character of integrity. Marcus Aurelius did not separate philosophy from life. To him, every moment was an opportunity to fulfill duty, whether as emperor or as a human being. The Stoics also believed that duty extends to yourself. It is your duty to cultivate your mind, to strengthen your character, to live with discipline. Neglecting your growth is a betrayal of your role in the larger order of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the importance of using each day wisely, of not wasting time in distraction. This too is duty, the duty to honor the gift of existence by living well. Living by duty requires courage. It is not always easy, and it often goes unnoticed. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the true measure of a person is not in the applause they receive, but in the weight they carry silently. To do what is right without reward is to be free. It is to rise above the childish need for approval and to stand firmly in the maturity of virtue. Imagine how different your life could be if you lived this way. If you worked not for recognition, but because it was right. If you acted kindly not for gratitude, but because it aligned with virtue. If you faced challenges not for applause, but because duty demanded it. You would be unshakable. Praise and blame would no longer control you. Success and failure would no longer define you. You would be free, steady, calm. That is the strength Marcus Aurelius lived, and that is the strength you can cultivate. Lesson 4, then, is a call to duty. Do what is right. Fulfill your role. Serve the greater good. Forget reward. Forget recognition. Forget applause. The act itself is enough. Duty is the highest honor, the path of true strength. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That is the way of the Stoic, the way of the strong, the way of the free. Lesson 3. Freedom from the opinions of others. Few chains are as heavy, few prisons as confining, as the one built from the opinions of other people. We spend so much of our lives worrying about what others think of us, measuring ourselves by their standards, fearing their criticism, craving their approval. Marcus Aurelius saw this trap clearly, and he warned himself against it again and again. Lesson 3, therefore, is about liberating yourself from the opinions of others and living in alignment with your own reason and virtue instead of becoming a slave to the judgments of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius lived under the most intense scrutiny imaginable. As Emperor of Rome, every word he spoke, every gesture he made, every decision he took was watched, discussed, and judged. He could not walk through the palace without whispers, could not issue an order without debate, could not even mourn in private without the eyes of others upon him. And yet, in his meditations, he reminded himself constantly that the judgments of others are fleeting, unstable, and ultimately meaningless. He wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." In that single observation lies a profound truth about the human condition. We spend our lives trying to impress those who will be gone in an instant, while neglecting the voice of our own conscience that stays with us forever. Why are the opinions of others so dangerous? Because they are unstable. People praise you today and condemn you tomorrow. They elevate you when you succeed and abandon you when you fail. Their judgments are shaped not by truth, but by their own biases, ignorance, and fleeting moods. To base your self-worth on such shifting ground is to guarantee instability. Marcus Aurelius understood that the only secure foundation is to live according to reason and virtue. What others say is outside your control. What you do is within your control. That is where your focus must remain. This does not mean Marcus Aurelius was indifferent to others in the sense of ignoring them completely. He cared deeply about justice, about serving his people, about fulfilling his role as emperor. But he did not allow the praise or criticism of others to determine his value. He separated duty from opinion. His duty was to act justly, wisely, courageously, and with discipline. Whether others recognized this or not was irrelevant. The applause of the crowd could not add to his virtue, and their scorn could not diminish it. He wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This was his shield against the noise of judgment. Imagine the freedom this brings. To walk through life no longer enslaved to what others think, to speak truth without fear of rejection, to act with integrity without needing applause, to fail without shame, to succeed without arrogance. This is the freedom Marcus Aurelius cultivated. He knew that most people are too distracted with their own struggles to think of you for long. The harsh words you fear, the judgments you dread, the criticisms that sting, all of them vanish quickly from the minds of others. Why should you surrender your peace to what is so fleeting? And yet we do. Even in our modern world, perhaps especially in our modern world, we live chained to the opinions of others. Social media amplifies this trap, reducing self-worth to likes, shares, and comments. People curate their lives to impress strangers, sacrificing authenticity for approval. Marcus Aurelius would look at this with sorrow. He would remind us that the crowd's opinion is no measure of truth, that applause is no sign of virtue, that the noise of others must never drown the voice of reason within. But how do we practice this lesson? Marcus Aurelius began with perspective. He reminded himself of the vastness of time and the smallness of human life. He wrote, "Consider how soon everything is forgotten. Look at the endless abyss of time behind you and before you, and the emptiness of applause, and the fickleness of those who seem to give it." By contemplating how quickly even the most famous names are erased, Marcus dissolved his attachment to recognition. The voices of others fade, only virtue remains. He also practiced compassion. Instead of resenting those who judged him, He recognized their limitations. People criticize not from wisdom, but from ignorance, not from truth, but from misunderstanding. He wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This humility helped him to see that others' opinions often reflect their own struggles, not objective reality. Why should their judgments disturb your peace? Another practice Marcus used was to turn inward. In his meditations, he constantly spoke to himself, asking, "Am I acting according to reason? Am I living in harmony with virtue? Am I fulfilling my duty?" These were the only questions that mattered. If the answer was yes, then the opinions of others were irrelevant. If the answer was no, then he corrected himself. This self-examination gave him an anchor far stronger than the shifting waves of public opinion. We can see how powerful this lesson becomes when applied to modern challenges. Suppose you are criticized at work. Instead of collapsing under judgment, you ask, is the criticism true? If yes, then you learn and improve. If no, then you let it go. Either way, you remain steady. Or suppose you are ridiculed for pursuing a path different from others, perhaps following your passion or living simply in a world of excess. Instead of doubting yourself, you ask, am I aligned with reason and virtue? If yes, then continue. Their laughter cannot touch your soul. This lesson does not mean we ignore feedback or refuse to listen to others. Marcus Aurelius listened carefully to wise counsel. But he distinguished between wisdom and noise, between reasoned guidance and empty opinion. To be free from opinion is not to close your ears, but to choose carefully whose voice you allow into your soul. The Stoic is not stubborn, but discerning. The freedom from opinion also protects us from arrogance. Praise can be just as dangerous as criticism. Many are intoxicated by applause, building their identity on the admiration of others. But this is just another form of slavery, for when the applause fades, as it always does, their sense of self collapses. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that praise is just sound, air passing through mouths. It adds nothing to the reality of virtue. He wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. Let your thoughts dwell only on those things which are in your control. And praise and blame belong to others. Virtue belongs to you. In the end, lesson 3 is about anchoring yourself in what is real. The opinions of others are shadows, fleeting and unstable. Your reason, your conscience, your alignment with virtue, that is solid ground." Marcus Aurelius lived under constant judgment, but he chose to live according to principle, not popularity. That is why his writings endure. He was not trying to impress, he was trying to be true. And that is the path of freedom. To live this lesson yourself is to free your soul from the heaviest chain. Imagine walking through life, no longer bound by fear of criticism, no longer addicted to praise. Imagine acting with courage because it is right, not because it is applauded. Imagine being calm when insulted, steady when ignored, humble when praised. That is freedom, that is strength. That is the way Marcus Aurelius walked, and the way you can walk too. Lesson 2. Living in the present moment. If Lesson 3 reminded us to free ourselves from the opinions of others, Lesson 2 brings us to the foundation of Stoic practice, learning to live fully in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the quiet of the night or in the midst of a military campaign, returned to this truth again and again. Life is nothing more than a stream of present moments, and yet human beings are rarely present. We are distracted by regrets of the past or anxieties about the future. We replay old mistakes in our minds, we chase future outcomes, and in doing so, we miss the only thing we ever truly possess: now. Lesson 2 is about reclaiming the present. not as an escape from reality, but as the place where life actually happens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Those 4 words carry the weight of his philosophy. To him, the past was unchangeable, the future unknowable, and only the present moment belonged to us. He reminded himself constantly not to waste his energy on what could not be altered or controlled. The man who spends his days consumed by regret over yesterday or by fear of tomorrow has abandoned the only time he can actually live. And to abandon the present is to abandon life itself. Think about how often you leave the present moment. You wake up and immediately your mind runs to what happened yesterday, an argument, a failure, a disappointment, or you begin to imagine the day ahead. What if something goes wrong? What if you fail again? What if the worst happens? Hours are spent living in places that do not exist. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not yet here. Meanwhile, the present slips away, unnoticed, unappreciated, wasted. Marcus Aurelius saw this as one of the great tragedies of human life, that we are always somewhere else, always missing what is right in front of us. The Stoic approach is not about ignoring the past or future entirely. Marcus Aurelius learned from history and he planned for the responsibilities of his empire, but he refused to be trapped by either. Reflection and planning are useful, but regret and anxiety are poison. The difference lies in focus. Reflection serves the present by teaching lessons. Planning serves the present by preparing action. But regret and fear steal the present, draining energy on what cannot be changed or controlled. Marcus Aurelius's practice was to keep returning his mind to now, to what could be done in this moment, with clarity and virtue. Why is the present so powerful? Because it is the only place where action exists. You cannot act yesterday and you cannot act tomorrow. You can only act now. All virtue, justice, courage, discipline, wisdom can only be lived in the present. You cannot be courageous tomorrow. You can only be courageous now. You cannot act with justice yesterday. You can only act with justice now. The present is where life unfolds, where choices are made, where character is forged. To lose the present is to lose yourself. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the fleeting nature of the present moment. Each moment arrives and passes instantly, like a drop of water falling into the sea. He reflected that life is nothing but a collection of these drops, vanishing as quickly as they appear. To waste them in distraction or complaint is to waste the very fabric of existence. He wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." The urgency here is clear. The present is short, fragile, and precious. Use it well. Living in the present also brings peace. Much of our anxiety comes from trying to live outside of now. Fear is almost always about the future, what might happen, what could go wrong, what we imagine will unfold. But the future is not here. When you return to the present, fear dissolves. Regret is almost always about the past, what you should have done differently, what you lost, what you cannot change. But the past is gone. When you return to the present, regret loses its grip. The present is a refuge, a place of calm, because it is real. It is the only place where suffering can be transformed into action, where challenges can be faced, where virtue can be practiced. Marcus Aurelius did not merely write about the present as a philosophical idea. He practiced it constantly in the chaos of his reign. Imagine him in the field, surrounded by the noise of soldiers, the uncertainty of war, the shadow of disease. He could have been consumed by fear of what tomorrow's battle might bring, or by sorrow over what yesterday's plague had taken. But he returned to now. What can I do in this moment? What is my duty here and now? That was his focus. and that focus allowed him to endure without being crushed by the weight of past and future. In our own lives, the practice of presence is equally vital. Today, perhaps more than in Marcus's time, distractions pull us away from the moment. Our devices constantly tempt us to escape the present, into endless news, entertainment, and comparison. We live in a perpetual state of elsewhere, rarely here. But the Stoic challenge is to resist this, to return again and again to now. The present may not always be comfortable, but it is real. And reality is where strength is built. To live this lesson is to cultivate awareness. When your mind drifts to regrets, remind yourself, the past cannot be changed. When it drifts to fear, remind yourself, the future cannot be controlled. When you are tempted to escape into distraction, remind yourself, the present is enough. Breathe, look around, act. That is Stoic presence, not a vague mindfulness, but an active engagement with what is real. Marcus Aurelius's insistence on presence also ties directly to his belief in fate. He accepted that life unfolds according to nature's order. The past is part of that order, unchangeable. The future will come as it must. The only freedom lies in how we meet the present, and to meet it with clarity, discipline, and virtue is to live in harmony with the universe. In this way, presence is not just a personal practice, but a cosmic alignment. By living fully in now, you live in agreement with the rhythm of life itself. There is also joy in presence. Marcus Aurelius, despite his burdens, found moments of quiet wonder. He wrote about the beauty of nature, the patterns of bread breaking in the oven, the sparkle of light on water, the simplicity of daily acts. These observations reveal a man who, even in the midst of chaos, paused to notice the small miracles of now. This is a reminder to us, the present is not only duty, it is also beauty. When you truly see the moment, gratitude arises. Even in hardship, there are sparks of wonder. Presence opens the eyes to them. Lesson 2, then, is a call to return to the only time that exists. Do not drown in yesterday. Do not chase tomorrow. Do not let distractions steal the gift of now. Confine yourself to the present. Act with virtue in this moment, for it is the only moment you ever have. That is the wisdom Marcus Aurelius lived, and that is the wisdom you can live too. Lesson 1. Virtue is the highest good. At the very heart of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy lies one unshakable conviction. Virtue is the only true good. Wealth, pleasure, reputation, and power may come and go, but they do not make a person better. Pain, loss, poverty, and death may arrive, but they do not make a person worse. For Marcus and for the Stoics, the only thing that truly matters, the only thing that defines the quality of a human life, is whether you live with virtue. Lesson 1 is about this central truth, that the strength of your character, not the circumstances of your life, is the highest measure of good. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by temptations that would have corrupted almost anyone else. He was Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world, with limitless access to luxury, flattery, and indulgence. At the same time, he faced endless trials, disease, war, betrayal, and grief. If anyone had reason to believe that external things defined happiness, it was him. But in his private reflections, he stripped away all illusions. He reminded himself that wealth does not make the wicked virtuous, that pleasure does not make the coward brave, that reputation does not make the liar honest. Conversely, he reminded himself that hardship cannot touch virtue. A poor man can live nobly, a suffering man can live justly, a dying man can live with integrity. The highest good is not in what happens to you, but in how you live. Virtue, for Marcus Aurelius, was not an abstract concept. It was a living practice, embodied in 4 guiding principles: wisdom, justice, courage, and discipline. These were not ideals to admire from a distance, but tools to apply every day. Wisdom guided judgment, justice guided relationships, courage guided endurance, and discipline guided desires. Together they formed the structure of a life aligned with nature and reason. To live without virtue, no matter how rich or powerful, was to fail. To live with virtue, no matter how poor or obscure, was to succeed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple words, but they reveal a radical commitment. He measured every action, not by its outcome or benefit, but by its alignment with virtue. Was it just? Was it honest? Was it wise? Was it disciplined? If yes, then act. If no, then refrain. That was his compass. This clarity freed him from the confusion of chasing rewards or fearing losses. The path of virtue was always clear, even when difficult. In a world driven by ambition, Marcus Aurelius's commitment to virtue stands out as extraordinary. Most rulers sought glory, wealth, or conquest. Marcus sought only to live rightly. He did not seek to be remembered as great, he sought to be remembered as just. He did not chase comfort. He embraced hardship as training. He did not cling to power. He used it as a tool to serve. This humility, this focus on virtue above all else, is why his writings remain timeless. He showed that true greatness is not in ruling others, but in ruling oneself. For us, this lesson is as urgent as ever. We live in a world that constantly tells us that happiness lies in external things. Advertisements promise joy through possessions. Social media equates worth with attention. Society celebrates wealth and fame as the highest achievements. But Marcus Aurelius calls us back to truth. None of these things define the goodness of a life. A rich man without virtue is miserable. A poor man with virtue is fulfilled. The question is not what you own, but who you are. Not what you achieve, but how you live. Not how long you live, but how well. Virtue also provides stability in a changing world. External things are fragile. Wealth can vanish overnight, health can fail, reputation can crumble, and life itself can end in an instant. If your happiness depends on these, you will live in constant fear, always at the mercy of chance. But virtue is unshakable. No one can take it from you. No circumstance can destroy it. Even in prison, even in sickness, even in death, you can remain just, wise, courageous, and disciplined. That is why the Stoics called virtue the only true good. It is the only thing truly yours. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this in the darkest moments of his reign. When plague swept through Rome, killing millions, he did not despair. He reminded himself that suffering does not diminish virtue. When betrayal struck from those closest to him, he did not collapse into bitterness. He reminded himself that injustice from others does not excuse injustice from himself. When war drained the empire's strength, he did not abandon his responsibilities. He reminded himself that difficulty is the training ground of courage. In every trial, he turned back to virtue as his compass. That is why he could endure so much without breaking. Living by virtue also liberates you from fear. If you define the good as wealth, then you fear poverty. If you define the good as health, then you fear sickness. If you define the good as reputation, then you fear shame. But if you define the good as virtue, then you fear nothing. Poverty cannot touch your honesty. Sickness cannot touch your justice. Death cannot touch your integrity. You are free because the only thing that matters is always in your control. That is the core of Stoic strength. Virtue is not easy. It demands sacrifice. It often means choosing the harder path, the honest word instead of the convenient lie, the just action instead of the selfish gain, the courageous choice instead of the safe retreat, the disciplined restraint instead of indulgence. But Marcus Aurelius believed that this struggle was the essence of a meaningful life. To live without virtue may seem easier in the moment, but it leads to emptiness. To live with virtue may be harder, but it leads to peace. And peace, for Marcus, was the highest form of happiness. The challenge for us is to bring this lesson into daily life. Every day offers countless opportunities to practice virtue. Every decision, big or small, asks the same question. Will I act according to reason and virtue, or according to impulse and desire? Marcus Aurelius would remind us that philosophy is not about words, but about deeds. The true test of Stoicism is not in what you say, but in how you live. Do you live with integrity when no one is watching? Do you act with justice even when it costs you? Do you remain disciplined when temptation calls? Do you show courage when fear whispers? That is where the truth is revealed. To live by virtue is to walk a path of freedom, stability, and peace. It is to live a life that no misfortune can destroy, because its value lies not in what you have, but in who you are. This is why Marcus Aurelius placed virtue above everything else. It is the highest good, the foundation of strength, the essence of human dignity. And this, finally, is the first and most important lesson of mental strength. To build your life not on sand, but on the solid rock of virtue. As we come to the end of this journey through the mental strength secrets of Marcus Aurelius, it is important to pause and reflect on what has truly been uncovered. These teachings are not simply ancient words, locked away in a distant past. They are living truths, forged in the fire of real experience, tested by the trials of an emperor who carried the weight of the known world and still found within himself the discipline to live with clarity, calm, and strength. What we have explored together is not just philosophy, it is a way of life, a way of seeing the world that frees you from the chains of fear, anger, and desire, and equips you with the resilience to endure whatever life brings. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius does not shine because it is poetic, though his words often carry beauty. It shines because it is practical. It speaks directly to the battles of the human soul, the same battles we face today. The technology may have changed, the cities may look different, but the inner struggles are the same. We still fear the future. We still grieve the past. We still battle anger, desire, and despair. And so his words, written in the privacy of his meditations, come to us across centuries like a whisper from a fellow traveler on the difficult road of life. He does not speak as a distant philosopher, but as a companion who has suffered, endured, and discovered strength in the midst of weakness. If there is one truth that ties together all of his lessons, it is this: strength is found within. The storms of life will always rage, the external world will always shift beyond your control. But your mind, your character, your virtue, that is yours. That is where your power lies. Marcus Aurelius was not stronger than us because he was an emperor. He was stronger because he learned to master himself. His victories were not over armies alone, but over his own impulses, his own fears, his own weaknesses. And that is the challenge he leaves to us. Not to rule an empire, but to rule ourselves. Think about how different your life could be if you lived by these principles. Imagine waking each morning, not with dread of what might go wrong, but with calm acceptance that whatever happens, you will meet it with dignity. Imagine walking through conflict without being consumed by anger, through temptation without being enslaved by desire, through suffering without collapsing into despair. Imagine measuring success not by applause, possessions, or status, but by whether you acted with courage, wisdom, justice, and discipline. This is the Stoic path. This is the path Marcus Aurelius walked, and it is the path still open to you today. Yet we must be honest, this path is not easy. Philosophy is simple in words, but difficult in action. to live with self-control, to accept fate, to remain calm in anger, to value time, to practice courage in pain. All of this requires daily effort. That is why Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations, not as polished essays, but as reminders to himself. He was not preaching to others, he was training himself. He struggled, as we all do. He stumbled, as we all do. But he returned again and again to his principles, and in that returning he found strength. The Stoic life is not about perfection, it is about persistence, and that persistence is available to you. You do not need to be emperor to practice Stoicism. You do not need armies or wealth or titles. You need only the willingness to turn inward, to examine your judgments, to master your reactions, to live with virtue in this moment. That is all Marcus Aurelius did, day by day, moment by moment, choice by choice. And it is all you must do. The practice is small, but the results are immense. A single choice to remain calm instead of angry. A single choice to act with honesty instead of deceit. A single choice to live today as if it were your last, not postponing what matters. These small acts, repeated daily, shape a character unshakable by fate. We often wait for strength to arrive in dramatic moments, but Marcus Aurelius reminds us that strength is built quietly, in the ordinary flow of life. Strength is built when you endure small inconveniences without complaint. Strength is built when you forgive small offenses without resentment. Strength is built when you resist small temptations without surrender. And when greater trials come, as they always do, that strength is ready. That is why discipline in the ordinary prepares you for courage in the extraordinary. There is also a profound peace in living this way. When you accept that you cannot control the future, fear loses its grip. When you accept that you cannot change the past, regret dissolves. When you focus only on what lies within your power, your life becomes simpler, clearer, lighter. Marcus Aurelius did not find peace in luxury or escape. He found peace in aligning his will with nature, in living each day fully, in practicing virtue. And that peace is still possible, no matter the chaos around you. It does not depend on politics, wealth, or approval. It depends only on the discipline of your own mind. This is the message of Diary Stoic, to remind you that philosophy is not distant, not academic, not locked in books, but alive and urgent, waiting to be lived. Each video, each reflection, is an invitation to take these timeless truths and apply them in your own life. You are not just listening to Marcus Aurelius. You are walking with him, learning from his struggles, carrying his wisdom into your own battles. And as you practice, you become part of the same lineage of strength, the same tradition of resilience, the same brotherhood and sisterhood of souls who choose virtue over impulse, discipline over desire, courage over fear. Now comes the final challenge. Knowledge without action is nothing. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that philosophy is not for talk, but for life. So as you leave this video, ask yourself, how will I practice today? What will I do differently because of what I have heard? Perhaps you will pause before anger takes over. Perhaps you will waste less time on distraction. Perhaps you will accept hardship instead of resenting it. Perhaps you will remember that your worth is not in others' opinions, but in your own virtue. Whatever it is, do not leave these lessons as words. Make them deeds. And I ask you now to seal your commitment. Go to the comments and write the words, strength within. Not because they are magic, not because they impress anyone, but because they are a declaration to yourself. A reminder that the secret Marcus Aurelius carried, the secret he lived, the secret he offers you, is that strength is not out there, it is in here. In your mind, in your choices, in your virtue. Write it, mean it, live it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is the final call. Do not just admire Stoicism, practice it. Do not just study virtue, live it. Do not just repeat wisdom, embody it. And when you do, you will discover that mental strength is not distant, not impossible, but within your grasp. The Emperor of Rome left us his secrets, and they are now yours. The rest is up to you.